Are there constructive things that you can do to help restore a culture of life? Find out next on this edition of Life Matters. Brian Johnston is the Western Director of the National Right to Life Committee. He has served in many capacities while advocating for innocent lives, as California Commissioner on Aging, as Chairman of the California Pro-Life Council, on the board of the National Legal Center for the Medically Dependent and Disabled. And now here's our host, Brian Johnston.
Well, welcome back to Life Matters. We're your program on life, culture, and the very real battle of ideas. Because ultimately, your culture is built on ideas, and ideas that are enforced become laws. There's some very strange laws that have become law in California. We've talked about those in the past. One is the issue of assisted suicide, and if people aren't ready for that battle of ideas, they can be convinced to take their life or to help someone else take their life, when that need not ever be the case, and this is a very dangerous turn in medical ethics. We want you prepared for this battle. There's other battles too, though, on the abortion front. A lot of abortions now are being done chemically, where the physician will give the young mother chemicals, RU-486, that actually impact her body in a way to change it from being a mother's body in a very dramatic way. It attacks her body first with the goal of withering that child in the womb. Dr. George Delgado has perfected a method to reverse this because RU-486 needs two different applications. If a woman has made this decision, she can actually reverse it if she gets to Dr. Delgado's procedure in time. So Dr. Delgado is going to join us here shortly. We're also going to talk later with Jonathan Keller of California Family Council. So please join us. It's going to be a very interesting program, and thank you for joining in the battle of ideas.
You're listening to Life Matters. When others won't take your call, we will. Call our Lifeline at 800-924-2490 or visit us online at lifematters.life. Are the average members of your church ready to face the seductive allure offered by compassion in dying? If you ask them, we think you'll find that they are not. Many well-meaning Christians are easily swayed by the emotional arguments put forth by euthanasia advocates. We have resources to help you meet this challenge. Call us and ask for our group education packet, which contains the powerful documentary Death as a Salesman, starring Joni Eareckson and Brian Johnston. Call California Pro-Life at 800-924-2490 or visit us online at californiaprolife.org. Life Matters is a production of the California Pro-Life Council, the state affiliate of National Right to Life. And now back to more Life Matters with Brian Johnston.
Oh, back again on Life Matters Radio, where we talk about life, culture, and the battle of ideas. I'm at a conference, and I have a great pro-life hero, Dr. George Delgado. Dr. Delgado has been involved in a very important process that I think you need to know about. Dr. Delgado, tell us what you're doing.
I'm a medical director of Abortion Pill Reversal, and this is a program designed for women who've taken mifepristone, also known as RU-486 or the abortion pill, and changed their minds. These are women who regret what they've done and they want to stop the medical abortion process. So we have a way to do that. Before I go into that, let me tell you a little bit about mifepristone, also known as RU-486, and what exactly it is. It's known as a progesterone receptor blocker. It blocks the effects of progesterone, which are critical to keeping the baby alive in the womb. By blocking the progesterone receptors, the baby is aborted, the life is ended, and it's approved up to 10 weeks of pregnancy. So it's totally different than the morning after pill. The morning after pill, although it may have abortifacient properties, it's designed and intended as a contraceptive to be taken before a woman even knows she's pregnant.
That's right.
And it's taken up to 48 hours, 72 hours with some of them, and up to 5 days with others after an act of intercourse, but before a woman knows she's pregnant. Mifepristone, on the other hand, is taken when a woman knows she's pregnant up to 10 weeks of pregnancy and wants to actively abort her pregnancy. So we found that many women have second thoughts and want a second chance at choice. So we provide that. We have a website, abortionpillreversal.com, where women can go and get information. And associated with that, we have a hotline, so they can call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have a staff of nurses ready to inform them and to see if they want to proceed further. Then they connect them with doctors or clinics in their areas who are willing and capable of providing the treatment to reverse the effects of mifepristone.
Excellent. Now, what is that 800 number, toll-free number?
Well, the toll-free number, I don't give it out because it's for women who are interested in,
Sure.
So we don't want to clog up our hotline.
Good, so go to the website.
Go to the website, abortionpillreversal.com, and if you're a woman who's in that situation, the hotline number will be there for you.
Excellent. You know, Doctor, one thing I try to get across for people who have bought into the idea of choice or bought into the idea if it's a woman's right is to really understand what RU46 does, essentially, is it first attacks the woman's body. It changes the woman's body so that then she won't give sustenance to the child. So it's almost a secondary aspect that the child withers in the womb. But it's because a woman who's designed to give, you and I can't give birth. We don't get that privilege. But a woman is specifically designed to bring life into the world, a great honor. And what happens is that when that's happening, as her body is moving into motherhood, this is designed to attack her body first, and that's why the child dies.
That's right, and actually the mifepristone really does no harm to the baby's body itself. And in fact, babies who survive mifepristone and babies where the mifepristone is reversed, they don't have an increased incidence of birth defects, because you're absolutely right. By blocking progesterone, you're blocking processes that are in the mother's body that sustain the baby.
Now, you'd know better than I know when this was first introduced in France, that there were women who died. That this is actually a very powerful artificial steroid. It's a very powerful drug. Again, it's designed to attack the woman. So if you're into women's rights, if you have bought into the idea that abortion's a good thing because, well, women have a right, this is attacking women. This is attacking their very nature. The way a woman's designed is being attacked by this drug. This is not a wonder drug. This is a pretty serious thing. But thankfully, what you have found is that because I believe there's a second in the typical regimen, they often have to go back to Planned Parenthood or wherever it is to get a second drug to finish the deal.
Right, and that's given, it's part and parcel of the medical abortion process. They have to observe them take the first medicine, which is mifepristone RU46, and then they give them a little brown bag, and they take home the second medicine, which they take usually 24 to 48 hours later. Mm-hmm. So when these women change their mind, it's in between the two drugs, and that's when we intervene and we can give the progesterone to counteract the effects of mifepristone so that they can reverse their medical abortion procedure.
That's so exciting. And again, just to reiterate, if you're listening for the first time, you're listening to Life Matters, your program on life, culture, and the battle of ideas. This is a drug that's taken when the mother knows she's pregnant. So what that means is often she's missed her first period. For a lot of women, that's going to be the first indicator. And we know this, that child has a beating heart. That child is completely genetically unique in the history of humanity. It is a completely separate individual from the mother. It's where we all came from. And this is designed to kill that baby by changing her motherhood, by trying to turn the clock back, so to speak, but unnaturally. And it has great risks, but especially for that baby. And if she has regrets, Dr. Delgado has basically offered an opportunity. It's very exciting because life is exciting, and we're so proud of what you do, Doctor. Thanks for joining us.
It's been my pleasure.
Thanks.
You're listening to Life Matters.
Life Matters is sponsored by the California Pro-Life Council, the state affiliate of the National Right to Life Committee. To find out more on how you can help and be involved right where you are, go to californiaprolife.org. That's californiaprolife.org. We'll tell you how you can get involved in your local community, how you can be effective if you want to be a pro-life speaker. We have training programs and open doors of opportunity for you to speak on a life issue. If you'd like to donate your car or a boat, you can do that at californiaprolife.org. Car Easy makes it easy, and you find that on our website. We get the most of any donation program. Car Easy allows us to get the most out of your car. Maybe you're not getting the trade-in value you wanted. Maybe it's just not running the way it used to. Let your car be used for life. Go to californiaprolife.org and find out what you can do to make a difference. californiaprolife.org.
Be sure to subscribe to the Life Matters podcast with Brian Johnston. Go to lifematters.life to subscribe. And now back to more Life Matters with Brian Johnston.
Welcome back to Life Matters. You know, at the same conference that I spoke to Dr. Delgado, I also interviewed an old friend, Jonathan Keller, who is working with the California Family Council. Now, the California Family Council takes on a whole bunch of different issues, and that's good. They work with churches of different denominations, and that's good. We do that too. We focus, though, on the life issue as the preeminent life issue, as the issue that needs to be addressed and changed if our culture is going to get back on track. Jonathan and other groups also help us with the life issue. I talk a little bit to Jonathan about the situation of working with churches. Sometimes churches are reluctant to be involved. They don't like to talk about policy issues. They're afraid it may alienate people. They are afraid it may make people feel guilty. There's all sorts of reasons that are offered. Most importantly, what we have found, I have found this and Jonathan has as well, that pastors are often overworked. And if you want to get involved and help, the best thing is to offer yourself as a resource. So we do that at California Pro-Life. You can sign up at the California Pro-Life website to be a church volunteer, to be your local pro-life leader in your community, and we'll get you information and resources to help educate your local congregation. So very quickly, again, this was recorded outside. You can hear the wind and some birds as I'm interviewing Jonathan, but we're going to hear now from Jonathan Keller. Welcome back to Life Matters, your program on life, culture, and the very real battle of ideas. And if you're not involved in that battle, you're going to lose. You will be taken. If you're not fighting in the battle of ideas, your mind is the target. So we want to equip you to understand what's happening in your culture and how you can really stand for life and stand for those who can't protect themselves. I have the good pleasure of working with Jonathan Keller. He's with the California Family Council. I've known John even before that, and Jonathan has been in the battle for life for a long time, and with California Family Council is working in league nationally with several groups.
Yeah. Absolutely. We share a lot of the same allies. And first off, Brian, thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We are very blessed to be able to join, just like California Pro-Life Council is partnered with National Right to Life. California Family Council, we get to partner with friends that focus on the family,
yes.
Alliance Defending Freedom, Family Research Council. And then in the state of California, we actually also have a very close working relationship with the California Southern Baptist Convention.
Wonderful.
It's one of the things I appreciate about being part of California Family Council is the fact that we can help educate people, whether they're Southern Baptist, Episcopal, Presbyterian, Catholic, Jewish,
yes.
Whatever your faith background is, we're able to help tell them about ways they can engage, like you said, in this battle of ideas.
That's right. And what I really like is the fact that if Christians don't get equipped in the battle of ideas, then we can't win.
Absolutely.
So we have to understand the ideas that are at stake and not just go with the emotions of our faith. I got to tell you, all of us have emotions.
Sure.
All of us have strong convictions. But unless you think it through and examine how this battle's being fought and how people's minds have been, you might say our culture's been twisted.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you understand how those pretzels need to be untwisted and help people come to an understanding, as it says in 2 Timothy, to help them understand how they've been taken captive in the futility of their minds, so that they can come to a knowledge and understand what is right and true and just.
Right.
We're not going to have good laws until that happens.
Absolutely. And I think that's so important. You mentioned the fact that people need to get trained, they need to get equipped, and I think that's a great thing that California Pro-Life Council seeks to do, this radio program seeks to do, is to provide people the tools so that they can really equip themselves and train themselves. Now, obviously, we all know that there is a barrage of information that's coming at us on a daily basis, whether it's through the traditional media outlets on television or newspaper, radio, magazines, or whether it's new media, things like this radio program, podcasts, social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc. The thing is, though, we really need to, as Christians, as people of faith, and as people who are pro-life, we need to be proactive about seeking out those sources that are going to be true. You don't want any fake news.
That's right.
But you also need to make sure that when you're faced with good resources, you really dive into those deeply and you're able to kind of equip yourself so that then as you're going back, whether you're talking to your pastor, whether you're talking to your assembly member, your state senator, whoever it is, even if it's just your neighbor across the street, you want to be able to give them accurate information about these issues relating to the sanctity of human life, whether it's cloning, embryo destructive stem cell research, abortion, euthanasia. You know, we need to be able to be the people in our communities, in our neighborhoods, that our friends, family, and churches look to as trusted sources of information.
That's right. And for those of you who hear the wind blowing, Jonathan and I are actually at a conference in Bakersfield where our KERI listeners tune in. And Jonathan and I were talking specifically now, how do you get your church involved? There's a lot of misunderstandings of churches being involved and churches addressing the issues of our time. If we don't, then we're not being salt.
Right.
We have to address our society, and sadly, there's been a tendency not to. So maybe we can address that tendency and how to overcome it, and how to get folks involved that are based in their faith, based in their church. They want to do something, but there's that challenge of, I don't want to upset people.
Well, I think, in a way, if you'll allow me to make an analogy, Brian, it kind of reminds me almost back of during the Cold War. And there were people back during the Cold War that were saying, President Ronald Reagan is a warmonger, and, he's bringing us to the brink of war with the Soviet Union just because he believed in, as he liked to say, peace through strength, peace through superior firepower. And the reality is there were people even back then that believed that the only way for us to have peace was through unilateral disarmament. They said, look, we just need to lay down our weapons, we need to denuclearize, because if we do it, surely the Soviets will do it as well. Well, you know what? That same thing is happening among certain sectors of our society today. There are people that are saying, look, if we just lay down our weapons, if we just focus on only, loving people and being compassionate and showing that we're the nice kind of Christians, we're the nice kind of pro-lifers, surely the other side is going to adopt that same strategy. Well, here's the reality, and I want to be very careful how I say this. You mentioned this is a battle of ideas. We saw earlier what happens a couple of weeks ago, what happens when a deranged person takes their idea of the battle of ideas and picks up a gun instead. We saw what happened in Alexandria, Virginia. We want to make it very clear for anyone who's listening, if we have friends on the ACLU or Equality California, we're not talking about a physical battle. This is an ideological battle.
That's right.
But we do need to be aware that we don't want to ideologically disarm. We want to make sure that everybody who's listening realizes that we have to, spiritually speaking, gird our loins. We have to pick up the armor of God. We have to be able to engage in a way that is not attacking people, but attacking these ideas. And like you said, these strongholds that set themselves up against the knowledge of God.
That's right. We don't battle against flesh and blood, but we do battle against those ideas that have set themselves against God. And the principle of life, by the way, is a self-evident truth.
Right.
You don't even have to be a theologian. It's a self-evident truth. God has revealed his invisible nature through his visible creation, and that's what their founder said, that it's self-evident. Human beings were not created by government. The right to life exists because God made you.
Right.
And government was made by human beings.
Right.
So it should be the other way around. Government should be protecting lives, and that's what the right to life is all about.
Right.
Jonathan, you had mentioned something too. What should someone do who feels frustrated at their fellowship, at their church, at their congregation? How should they approach this?
Well, I first off would say welcome to the club. I think that anytime you're involved with a body of other believers, we always have to realize that there's going to be things that irk us, just like there's probably things that are about us that irk other believers at our church. That being said, sometimes I think we can be tempted to just give up and to, jump ship, look for another congregation. I think maybe in cases you have to do that, but not generally. If God's put you in a local body of believers, if you're committed to that church, God has you there for a reason. And just like the church is supposed to be salt and light in the culture, maybe God's calling you to be salt and light right there within that church.
Exactly.
And the reality is, if you look at the body of Christ, Paul says that not every part is the same. Not everybody's an eye, not everybody's an ear, not everybody's a foot or a hand. Everybody has unique roles to play. And it might be that God is calling you to say, look, how can we, as pro-life people, how can we work within our churches and say, here are some practical, concrete things that we can do?
Yes.
And I will tell you, from talking to a lot of pastors, one of the things that I've seen, to be honest, a lot of pastors are just overwhelmed, overworked, understaffed. And if you come to those pastors with the idea of pointing a finger at them and saying, why aren't you doing this? They're probably not going to respond very well. But if on the flip side, you come to them and say, hey, pastor, I just heard this great radio program on Saturday. I've just been going online and reading these articles. I'd like to get my church involved. I'd like to get our church involved in doing this. If you come to him with a solution instead of a problem, I think he's going to be much more likely to want to hear what you have to say.
That's right. So you're really there to help and to serve. That's the first thing to realize when you're in church. It's people serving one another. You're here, if you're a follower of Christ, you know that already. So go with resources. Sometimes something like setting up a table. Set up a table. Say, Pastor, I know this is something you have a hard time doing. Would you mind if we set up a table? We have some fetal models. Can we put these fetal models out on Mother's Day? Can we approach this? One of the tough ones, and we've talked about this, some people think at election time, churches shouldn't say anything. But really, churches should organize, and you should be registered to vote.
Oh, absolutely.
You can have a voter registration drive in your church. It's a good thing. You don't tell people how to vote, but hopefully you have, in other capacities, given them a sense of the issues that are at hand.
Right.
But if they're not registered to vote, then it's all talk.
Right.
And again, this is a battle. One of the things about laws, what they are, they're simply ideas that are enforced. So if you think you're involved in the battle of ideas, but you're not registered to vote, well, you're just thinking in your head. It's just a nice idea. There are ideas that are being forced on our culture right now in Sacramento. They're trying to do it in D.C. Thankfully, They've been thwarted, but Sacramento's looking pretty bad because I think a lot of Christians have kind of decided, no, they don't like it. They look at it, but they don't realize, no, this is a battle that must be implemented. You have to touch down. Ideas aren't just space cadet assertions of your feelings. You have to touch down and apply it. And the place that really happens, if you're an American, is in elections. That's an opportunity and a privilege that many nations don't have. We have that here. And I believe ultimately we'll be judged if we don't avail of our responsibility as citizens.
Right. And I think that's totally true. And you see again at churches, if we abdicate again, at churches, our ability to speak, it's not going to stop other people in our culture from speaking.
That's right.
I can guarantee you look at the number of churches in California. I don't know the total number of congregations in the state. I do know, as I mentioned with our relationship with the Southern Baptist Convention, just that one denomination, there are 2,200 Southern Baptist churches in the state of California. Well, I can guarantee you that if every one of those churches decided, you know what, we're going to sit on the sidelines, we're just going to kind of trust that God's got everything under control and we're not going to be that salt and light, I can guarantee you, Planned Parenthood, Equality California, NARAL, Pro-Choice California, these other groups, they're not going to say, well, I guess we can just let things go, we can take things easy. If the church is not out there speaking and advocating in favor of pro-life principles, someone else is going to fill the void. Everyone knows that phrase, that nature abhors a vacuum.
That's right.
And if we do not stand up, if we do not fill that space, people are going to get their news from somewhere. They're going to get their opinions from somewhere. And it's up to us, I think, to be that trusted source for people.
That's right. And so you can be that in your congregation. You can make a difference. If you'd like to get a hold of Jonathan, Jonathan's at California Family Council, and the website is
californiafamily.org. And of course, you can also find us on Facebook and social media.
Exactly. Yeah, so get involved and make sure that you're equipped. Very important that you not just go with your feelings. We all have feelings, but we want to channel them into what's applicable, and you get equipped with the facts because the facts are on our side.
Right.
And facts are terrible things to waste. Jonathan, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Brian, and thanks to your listeners.
Welcome back to Life Matters, your program on life, culture, and the very real battle of ideas. Life Matters is here to equip you and to help you. If you ever have any questions, this is your program. Feel free to call in with questions to 800-924-2490. That's 800-924-2490. We'll try to play it on the air. Tell us what town you're from, and we'll answer your question as quickly and as clearly as possible. We're your program in many ways, though. We are on the air in all of California, from San Diego all the way up to Ukiah. In every urban area of California, you can hear Life Matters Saturdays at 1. And to be honest, one of our greatest expenses is that airtime. We're also available nationwide at lifematters.life. That's the address for our podcast. and you can listen to that anytime. Most of the issues we deal with apply nationally. In fact, they actually apply internationally because the issue of life is under attack right now by our culture at large. And we want you prepared to deal with this battle, to deal with those attacks. When it comes to airtime is our single greatest expense. I'd like to invite you, if you'd like to partner with California Pro-Life, if you'd like to sponsor some airtime in your community or part of our statewide airtime effort, feel free to do so. Call 800-924-2490. Tell us you want to sponsor, that you want to be a partner of Life Matters. Perhaps you have a business. If you have a pro-life business, pro-life people want to know about you and they want to give you their customership. You can sponsor through your advertising budget. You can actually get an ad, if you'd like, on Life Matters for your particular region. Again, we're on 7 different radio stations throughout the state, and we can target your region, or if you have a message or a business that reaches beyond your region, we can get you throughout the state. So your support is very important to us. It allows us to keep going. And if you just want to sponsor and pledge to help this program continue to get out the message of life, to give clarity to what this battle is and why we need to stand for those who cannot stand for themselves, we really appreciate that. We'll be glad to remember you as one of our partners. So that's CaliforniaProLife.org, CaliforniaProLife.org. Or if you want to go to the podcast, go to LifeMatters.life. That's lifematters.life. You can subscribe to the podcast, so if you miss a radio program, you can get the information whenever you want it at lifematters.life. And to be a partner, give us a call. 800-924-2490. That's 800-924-2490. Perhaps your church or fellowship. Perhaps you have a ministry. Perhaps you have a business. We'll be glad to get your word out as a partner with Life Matters. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to listen again next week as we get deeper into the issues of life.
If you have questions or comments for Life Matters, call 800-924-2490. Give us your name and the town you're calling from, and a quick question or comment. To subscribe to the Life Matters podcast, go to lifematters.life, where you'll find out a lot more about life, culture, and the battle of ideas. Life Matters is a production of the California Pro-Life Council, the state affiliate of National Right to Life. Wherever you are in the nation, you can find out more at National Right to Life. You can find vital pro-life information and also find the access to your state and local Right to Life affiliate. Get informed and get involved.